Sammasambuddho Swakatoyena Bhagavata Dhammo Supatipanno Yassa Bhagavato Savete Sangho Dhammayang Bhagavatam Sadhamang Sasangang Ime Sakari Adaraham Arupite Adipujayama Sadhuno Bhante Bhagava Sujira Parini Bhutoti Pajima Janatano Gamba Manasa Ime Sakari Dugata Banaka Prabhuti Patitannato Amma Kandi Haratam Hitaya Sukaya Aram Samma Sambuddho Bhagava Buddhang Bhagavantang Abhimadi Swakato Bhagavata Dhammo Dhamman Namasarani Supatipanno Bhagavato Savete Sangho Sangham Namami Namayam Buddhasa Bhagavato Papapaganamakarangaro Mase Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa.
So can you come a little bit forward away from the back wall, and also a little bit more of a gap between you? Yes. So please, everyone here, everyone online, compose yourselves now, sit up nicely. And you close your eyes. And as you close your eyes, you leave everything you've been doing, thinking about, worrying about, the lot. You put it all down and you leave it. And you remind yourselves that you only ever have right now. So try to keep your attention here and now, at least for this evening. And we'll commence by bringing to mind the Buddha, recollecting his perfect mind, a mind that was quite clear of any kind of corruption or defilement, and even far away, far distant from anything of that kind. That mind of the Buddha's was also a mind of infinite compassion. And he was described as being perfect in knowledge and conduct. Now, when you contemplate the Buddha, when you happen to see a Buddha Rupa or picture of the Buddha, or even think of him, be inspired to cleanse your mind just as he did his, of all greed, hatred, and delusion, and overcome your suffering. And regard doing this as doing yourselves an enormous favor, a truly great kindness. Because it's so much better to live without greed, without hatred, and without delusion. Try and imagine that if you can. So I lost you all for a moment with a power cut, but we're back. So now very briefly, cultivate loving kindness and compassion. For yourself and for yourself and for all beings. And then we'll briefly bring to mind a consideration of our own human condition, reminding ourselves that we're living a life which is subject to aging, to sickness, and to death. All the while we're living, all the while we're sitting here, time is passing. And with every second, we're getting older. And it just goes on and on. And there's nothing we can do about it. We can't possibly turn the clock back. Life hath but one direction, and time's its only measure. And at any moment, we can become unwell, catch something or other, some bug or other, even meet with an accident. It's a precarious existence. And then, of course, whatever we do, whatever happens, we will die. That's the one certainty we all live with. And all of this we have to come to terms with and do our best to understand. And understanding, of course, is crucial to our happiness and well-being. And that's what our practice aims at, a complete understanding of the nature of things. So, we have to begin by concentrating our minds. So quite deliberately now, gather and concentrate your mind, and direct your concentrated mind to being mindful and aware of your body, your physical presence. Now remember to remain quite still, absolutely still. And then as you are aware of your body, you will notice that there is that slight movement of your breathing. Now take note of just where and how you perceive the breath. And anchor your mind just there. It might be somewhere near the upper lip or nostrils. It might be over your heart. It might be somewhere near your abdomen. But wherever you feel the breath, wherever it's clear to you, anchor your mind there. And become mindful and aware of each in-breath and each out-breath. And that's all you have to do. Keep your mind watching, aware of, mindful of each in-breath, each out-breath. Do remember that if you notice your mind wandering, if you catch yourself thinking or dreaming, or do, as soon as you notice, be mindful of what is happening to you, of what you are doing. If you feel irritated at having lost the breath and started dreaming and thinking, be mindful of that. Whatever it is, be aware, mindful and aware, and let it go. And find the breath again. And again, try to establish your concentration on being mindful of each in and each out breath. So you've all been sitting very well, very still and concentrated. And please continue that now. Stay quite still. But during the next few minutes while I'm talking, just listen. That's all you have to do. No need to agree with me, try to remember any of it. Just listen. So I imagine that pretty much all of you are familiar with the basic tenets of Buddhism. But you may know that there are people who accept some of what the Buddha taught, but who are skeptical of other parts. And it's not unusual to find people doubting what the Buddha had to say about rebirth, and also assuming that somehow Buddhism, being all kind of full of love and peace, is also a rather kind of casual approach to things. We come across people with views of these kinds. But what we find when we look at the records of the Buddha's life and what he taught, a rather different picture emerges. And we find the Buddha being very precise and very definite about how one should conduct oneself, and also quite clear about the effects of one's actions and the effects even in a future life. As you know, the Buddha lived until he was 80, and he taught for 45 years. And during those years, he wandered around northern central India a great deal and met with all sorts of people. And occasionally, when he appeared somewhere and word got around that the Buddha had arrived and was camping somewhere nearby, the various villagers would come out to see him. And they would put their questions to him. And he would answer them. On one of these occasions, the people said to him that, now these were not followers of the Buddha, but they said to him that they'd understood that some people, upon the dissolution of the body and after death, were reappearing in unfortunate states. They were being reborn in an unhappy, unpleasant destination. And other people, after death, had a happy rebirth, a pleasant destination. And they asked the Buddha, why is this? Is this so, and why is this? And the Buddha's answer was to say that, well, some people act in unskillful ways. They do things which cause harm, and they do not act in accord with Dhamma. And so their rebirth is an unfortunate one. Other people, of course, act skillfully and pleasantly and do act in accord with Dhamma. And so their destination is a happy one, a pleasant one. And the people said, well, this is very nice, but can you be a bit more detailed about this? And so the Buddha said, well, basically there are three kinds of action. We may act by way of body, speech, or mind. And bodily actions are of three kinds. Now, bodily unskillful actions, those that cause harm, include killing, stealing, and sexual misconduct. Actions by way of speech, which cause harm and distress and are not in accord with Dhamma, are of four kinds: lying, slandering, violent and abusive speech, and trivial, unpleasant, and gossipy speech. And actions by way of mind, which are unskillful, cause trouble, bring unhappiness, and do not accord with Dhamma, are of three kinds. And they include a mind of greed. If a person is greedy and jealous and desiring other person's property and so forth, or a person is angry, a mind of violence and hate, or a mind of basically wrong view, a deluded mind. So these are the unskillful actions which do not accord with Dhamma and which bring about an unpleasant rebirth. And then you have those actions which do accord with Dhamma. And they, of course, are the complete opposite. So you have actions which are concerned, first of all, with kindness, with generosity, with living a chaste and responsible life. You have verbal actions which include truthfulness, speech which is pleasant and brings people together, kind and thoughtful speech, speech which is responsible. And you have a mind which is free of greed, hatred, and delusion. And these skillful actions, of course, bring about a pleasant rebirth. So here you have the Buddha being very precise and clear about what is skillful and what is unskillful. At various times, there was really no nonsense about him, about the way he spoke and described what was good and what was not good, and what had to be or should be avoided. Nothing casual about it at all. We are responsible for our actions and our future and our rebirth. And here also you see the Buddha speaking quite clearly about rebirth, that after death we may be reborn according to the way that we have behaved during our lifetime. So the Buddha here is very clear about karma and rebirth. We should be careful to do what is skillful, what is good, what is wholesome, and we should be careful to avoid what is unskillful, what is basically productive of an unhappy result. What is skillful, what is good is regarded as, it's called kusala kamma. And what is unskillful, akusala kamma. And we are responsible. Even if you don't believe in rebirth, or you really can't get your head around that, it should be quite obvious that when we behave well, when we are kind and pleasant and so forth, then we are applauded for that. We are liked for that. People are drawn to us. But if we are angry and unpleasant, then the reverse. Our actions do bring results. This is karma. And karma, of course, remember that the Buddha said that it is intention that is karma. So we have to look at what is behind our action. When we're doing something, what is behind it? Now, actions of body and speech, we do have, or should have, a measure of control over. I mean, to do something harmful, to kill, or to steal, or to act sexually in some inappropriate or unlawful way, all of that you have to make an effort to do. To lie, to slander someone, to speak unpleasantly, or to gossip, all of that too, you have to make a bit of an effort over it. Greed, hatred, and delusion are more difficult because these are embedded in our minds. And it's these that we really have to overcome to improve our state of mind, us and the way that we live. We practice meditation in order to cleanse our minds. And we also attend to the way that we behave, because to behave well means we will reduce our greed and our aversion. But ultimately, it's delusion that has to go, because delusion is the parent of both greed and hatred. And delusion means not seeing things in their true nature, not understanding that actions have results, not understanding, not really understanding that experience, phenomena are impermanent and changing. Not really understanding about suffering and its cause, that it can be ended, And then it can be overcome by the practice of the Noble Eightfold Path. In a kind of peripheral way, we can, yes, grasp these truths when we read about them or hear about them, but to really make them our own is something else. And for this, we have to practice. We have to develop our minds, quieten our minds, and allow ourselves to see for ourselves the true nature of things. This Dhamma is to be realized each person for themselves. So please do your best to practice what the Buddha taught for your own benefit and the benefit for all those about you. And that is enough from me for tonight. And we'll sit for just a moment or two longer. And in these closing moments, please concentrate your mind on loving kindness. It's all right, Asa. Asa. May you and all beings be well and happy. May you and all beings be free from all suffering. May you and all beings realize for yourselves the secure peace of Nibbana. Arahant Samma Sambuddho Bhagava Buddhang Bhagavantang Abhivade Swagato Bhagavanta Dhammo Dhammang Namasami Supatipanno Bhagavanto Savaka Sangho Sanghang Namami. So thank you all very much for coming. Very good to see you all. I hope you have a good weekend and we'll meet again soon.